Hey everyone, welcome to our Getting Started with CrazyTalk Animator 2 tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to briefly introduce you to a lot of the cool new tools and features with CTA2. So let's get started with the Content Manager on the right hand side, which contains all of our content. You can see I have my project tab here, all of my actors here, the animations as well as my scenes and props, and my special effects. Let's go back to our scene tab to start off here, and I'm going to go into my scene folder. Now if I want to import anything into my stage, all I have to do is just click and drag it. Like I can click and drag this office scene here. And you can see that adds nicely into my scene. I can also simply just double click it as well, and that'll bring a whole new street scene into my stage right here. You can see that how nicely that's done there. And if I just double click on this coffee shop, we're going to be using this one later, so I'll leave this one in my stage here. Now with the Content Manager, you can actually click and drag it to undock it from the Scene Manager. You can see if I select items from my Scene Manager here, they will be selected in my stage there. That's an easy way to select things. I can drag my Content Manager back to my Scene Manager, and you can toggle between the two with the tabs on the bottom here. I can also further customize the look of my Content Manager here as well by changing the view mode in this drop-down menu to like gigantic thumbnails or a more detailed mode or back to our regular thumbnails. I can also choose to show my navigation panel as well. So you can see we have a nice organized layout of all of my props and my other content as well. In addition to that, you can also click and drag any of these toolbars here to move them to wherever you so desire. I'll just leave that one back up there. And also take note, there's this blue kind of rectangle around my scene here. This is called the safe area, and anything within this rectangle is going to be what's rendered in your final scene. So you can kind of hide things outside your scene and zoom out to make them appear randomly in your shot. So let's take a look at scene navigation. Now if I hold down the Alt key and I left click, I can pan around my scene like this. If I have the Alt key held down and I click both mouse buttons, I can zoom in and out like this. And if I have nothing selected, so if I click outside on this white area here, I can scroll my mouse wheel and zoom in and out that way. Holding shift will allow me to zoom in and out faster. However, if I have something selected like this plant right here, and I scroll my mouse wheel, you'll see that it will move back and forth on the Z-axis, which you can see indicated in the XYZ values up here. I can move that behind my wall or wherever I'd like. If I want to change the safe area, I can also go up to Edit. I can go to Project Settings, and the safe area is right here, so I can make that larger or smaller, however much space I need to accommodate my needs. So let's go back to about 20 there and press OK. Let's take a look at the actors in CrazyTalk Animator 2. So I'm going to go to the Actor tab into my characters here, and I'm going to go to G2 characters, which are the Generation 2 characters of CTA2. And you can see they're indicated by the little G2 on the top left of their icon there. So I'm going to click and drag in this Saul guy right in front of our shelf of goodies here. And you can see we have Saul in our scene there, the hippie looking dude. And let's bring him down a little bit. If I want to see where he added into my scene, I can actually use the 3D view here, and I can just hold Alt and right click, and I can kind of pan around my scene and see where each individual item is on my Z-axis. And I can move them back and forth using the gizmo as well, so I can move him that way as well. Let's go back into our regular stage mode here. Let's take a look at the G2 characters. Now the G2 characters have 10 different angle profiles. So if I have my character selected here, I'm going to go into the motion key editor here, the 3D motion key editor, and you can see it comes up with this new UI here, where I can click and drag this slider and move my character into all kinds of different angle profiles. So you can see he has a fairly comprehensive set of angle profiles here, including top and bottom. In addition to that, characters in CTA2 can utilize human IK technology. So if I select my character's hips, for example, I can just move those around, and you can see the body will react naturally to my motion there. So press Ctrl Z to undo that. Another example, if I click my hand, I can kind of move my entire body along. It'll follow that hand movement right there. So that's a really new powerful tool with CTA2 as well. Let's get started on some animation. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to move Saul over here behind this table and chair. It looks like he's already there. If I move it, I can, if I move this little gizmo on the bottom here, I can move him up back and forth on the Z-axis. So maybe something like that will be okay. Yeah, we're good right there. So what I want to do is I want to have Saul walk around this table and kind of in front of this stand of goodies here. So let's go ahead and go to our Content Manager here on the bottom right and go to our Animation tab. And I want to go to Motions, 3D Motions, and Move. 3D Motions are fully compatible with G2 characters and all of the motion key editors, so you can make these appear at any sort of angle you'd like. I'm going to select my male walk here, and I'll show you what I mean in just a moment. So once that applies to Saul, you can see he takes a couple steps there. Now if we press F3 and go into the timeline, you can see that I have Saul selected. I'm going to open up my 3D motion track right here. And we have our little clip that we just added. So let's zoom out a little bit. And you can see there that we have that clip. And if I want to loop that, if I have looping selected, I can simply click and drag on the edge of my clip there. And you can see now that we have this little walking animation right there. Now if I want, I can actually go into the middle of this clip. And you'll see that when the clip is like this, when they have keyframes at each individual section, basically if I make one modification to this clip, it'll transfer to all the other clips as well. So let's go ahead into the motion key editor there. And say, for example, I change this profile to 45 degrees here. You'll see it'll add a keyframe in the 3D angle track in every single clip. So the result would be something like this. You'd go 45, 0, 45, 0. That's not really what we want. So I'm going to actually just press Ctrl Z and undo that. Now if I want a clean slate to work from, I can just simply right click on all my clips and select Flatten Motion Clip. And that'll take all those keyframes away. So it'll be one full clip that we can just modify using our motion key editor here. So let's go back to frame 1, and what I want to do is move this profile to 90 degrees. So now when I do that, this entire clip is going to be playing at a 90-degree profile. So basically what we want Saul to do is we want him to kind of walk around this table and in front of the snacks there. So let's go ahead and count 2 steps and then transform him. So go 1, 2, like that, and about there. We're going to open the transform track and move him a little bit to the side. Somewhere about there should be good. And you can see that basically he's in that spot right there. And from here on we want him to change to a 45-degree angle. So let's go ahead and select 45 degrees on my motion key editor there. And you'll see that keyframe will appear. Let's count 2 more steps. 1, 2. And at this point we want him to kind of move at a 45-degree angle right here. Maybe a little bit up on the, whoops, we don't want to scale him there. Just Control Z and undo that. You want to make sure you have this gizmo selected at the bottom there. So we'll make sure we move him up on the Z axis there. And from this point, we want him to change angles to 0 degrees. And you'll see that I'll add another keyframe there in the 3D angle track. And then we want him to 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 steps will do okay. And we'll move him up on the Z axis here, maybe a little bit to the side there as well. So let's take a look at what we just created there. I'm going to close down the timeline for now. Go ahead and press play. Okay, so we have Saul kind of doing his 3-point turn there, walking towards us. Now what I want to do before we move on is I want to actually create an automatic lip sync for Saul here. So let's go ahead and do that. He's going to be talking while he's walking. So let's go back to the frame, first frame here. And what I want to do is select our Create Script button here. And you can record your own voice. You can do a text-to-speech, a WAV file. I'm going to record my own voice here just to show you how easy it is to do this. And he's going to be basically talking while he's walking, like I said. So let's go ahead and record my voice. And you can choose your microphone device. And I just press record. And I'll say something like, hey everybody, welcome to our Getting Started tutorial with CrazyTalk Animator 2. And press stop, and then just go ahead and press OK with that. Hey everybody, welcome to our Getting Started tutorial with CrazyTalk Animator 2. Alright, so we have Saul doing his walking and talking right there. Well, let's add some expression to him. So let's go back to this frame here where we can actually see his face. And what I want to do is use our facial puppet tool right here. So let's click on that. And if you're not in the facial puppet, you can actually toggle between body and facial puppet using this button here. Let's go ahead and select a few of the profiles. We'll zoom in on his face a little bit. So you can see that we have all these previous versions of CrazyTalk on the profiles here as well. So for example, this grumpy lady, if she's happy, this is what she'll kind of look like. You can see we have this expression. You can click and blink the character's eyes. Maybe this character here, we have a nice smiley face. And you see that his mouth is moving around there. We have maybe this character. He has kind of a happy His mouth opens right there, and this one's nice as well. And we can also choose this sprite profile here as well, maybe something like an angry one, and kind of see the results there, and just not looking too happy right there. Let's go ahead and just choose this happy one from this child here. Now if I press preview and I press space, make sure you're aware that when you press space, that's where the axis of your movement is going to be. So if I press space when my cursor is right here, you'll see that that is where my center of my axis is, and I can move my character around that way. So let's go ahead and go back to frame 1, and we'll just go ahead and press record, and we're going to create some expression on his eyes. Hey everybody, welcome to our Getting Started tutorial with CrazyTalk Animator 2. Okay, so we had a couple of different eye sprite changes there. Now what I want to do is after he's finished walking, I want to apply a 3D motion to him. So let's zoom out a little bit, go back to our timeline here, and let's close down the transform and 3D motion tracks. I want to take a quick look at the face track here so you can see the audio clip that we created and the facial clip. This is the facial puppet clip that we created, and this is the lip syncing clip. So if I twirl down the voice clip here, you can see that's the audio data, and these are all the keyframes that my lip sync created. So I'm going to go and zoom in a little bit. Let's take a look at something like this one here. We'll zoom in on our character's face. This is my character's facial sprite for the J shape, so let's double click on that. If I double click on that, you'll see it'll come up with a number of different facial sprites. We can do like an O, a T, IH. These are all the different lip syncing sprites for my character. I can just choose a none as well. Anything like that. So let's basically, we can switch that to anything we'd like if we want to refine our lip sync. So let's go ahead and zoom out right now. And at this point, after he's finished his walk, we're going to apply a dance motion here. Since we're done with all the facial stuff now, let's go to where he stops walking, CrazyTalk Animator 2. Okay, so about here, and let's close down the face track and open up the 3D motion track here. So when he stops walking, about here at the transform key, what I want to do is go into my content manager here and just go ahead and apply a dance animation. We're going to apply this MJ motion right here. So he's going to be doing an MJ dance after he finishes his walk. So let's go ahead and just double click that. It doesn't really matter where it is in the clip, it's just going to overwrite this section of the clip. So let's just double click that MJ dance, and you can see my character does a 3D kick and twirl. And so that's pretty cool. That's the power of the 3D motion with a G2 character. You can see my character just walk and then pop into his Michael Jackson spin there. So what I want to do now is do some sprite editing to add some emotion to that spin, since he looks a little blasé. Let's go ahead and, about this point of his spin, right here, we want him to kind of do like a Michael Jackson scream, like a "ow" sort of thing. So in order to do that, I need to go over here to my sprite editor, and I'm going to open that up. And you can see now that I'm going to zoom in on my character. And if I select his eye, you can see that I have his eye selected in the profile image here. I want to change this to a closed eye, since that's going to be like a very "ow" type look. And we'll select his right eye as well, even though you can't see it right now. We'll just do the same thing to that one and change it to an angry expression sprite. And then for the face, we can select that as well, the mouth rather, and just choose like a "ow" sort of expression on his face there, so he's really getting into it. And then in addition to that, with his hand, we can actually select his hand and choose one of these profiles as well. We'll choose this one sprite. So you can see now that he will turn around and like that. And then when he's going back to normal, we'll just bring his eyes back. So let's select his eye and bring that back to a kind of happy type eye there. Bring his mouth back to normal as well. Maybe we'll give him a nice little smirk on his face like that, and bring his hand back to normal as well. Bring that back to a relaxed final look right there. Alright, so that's about all we're going to do for animation. So let's go ahead and zoom out and take a look at the result here. Hey everybody, welcome to our Getting Started tutorial with CrazyTalk Animator 2. Oh, there you go. So that's our completed animation there. Now what I want to do is show you a little bit about render style. So let's go to somewhere like here where our character is kind of doing his dance, and I want to show you some pretty cool render styles. So If I want to select a render style for a particular object in my scene, like let's say the character, if I have the character selected, let's change our, close down our sprite editor for now. Once I have my character selected, I can actually go over here to render style, and that'll bring up the render style UI on the right hand side here. And I can choose to modify my character's render style. Like you can give him a bright neon style like that, pop art style like that, even a retro style, or a line art style. All kinds of cool different styles you can apply to your character. And if you have the pro version of CrazyTalk Animator, you can actually do some further modifications to that as well. Let's just go ahead and bring it back to neon mode here. And if I go to my scene manager, I can select individual items like my snack bar here, and I can go change the render style of that to neon, and you can see that lights up and multicolored right there. I can actually even select everything in my scene as well by clicking the scene text right there, and then changing everything in the entire scene to neon as well. So you can see that's a pretty funky look. We got a lot of purple and neon colors there as well. So let's go ahead and change my character back to normal for now, because we're going to actually take this character into our character composer. So the character composer is the last thing I'm going to show you. It's right up here. You can select that, and here you can make some modifications to your character, including actor proportion size, which is right here. If I select that, I can give him like a airhead type look, a stretchy look, a strongman look, hobbit look. Any of these you can fool around with. I'm just going to leave them at default for now. If I go down to my content manager, I can actually replace body parts on this character as well. If I go to his head tab, we can go to maybe, for example, the hair right here. We'll give him a haircut. We'll go to G2, maybe cut off that hippie hair of his and give him more of a business type cut right there. So you can see he looks a lot different now. He has two eyes. In addition to that, we can also choose to change the shape of his face by going to face and G2 face. We'll give him a shave as well. Get rid of that goatee. And there you can see that he looks a lot younger, a lot more fresh-faced. And let's zoom out. We can also change his upper and lower body as well. If I select the body, I can choose to modify the upper or the lower, or I can just replace the entire body by going to body and G2. Let's just give him a nice suit or a nice shirt and tie there, make him look a bit more professional. And you can see there's my character right there. He's completely changed his appearance. So let's go ahead and bring him back into our scene right here. And you can see that all of the modifications are despite all the modifications, all of his animations are still the same. So you can swap out your characters like this. You can make separate changes to them. Let's go ahead and play this one back here. Hey everybody, welcome to our Getting Started tutorial with CrazyTalk Animator 2. Oh, alright. So the character looks a lot different, but the animation remains the same. So you can swap out your characters and animations like that. Let's bring this guy back into neon style, just to have him more matched with the scene. So let's go back to neon here. And there we go. You can see he looks pretty funky there. Now the final thing I'm going to show you is some quick camera movement. So let's go ahead and go up to camera record mode here on the top. And what I want to do is just zoom in on my character here. And let's go over to something like this. And maybe at the point where he's walking towards the screen. So he's about just finished walking towards the screen. We'll just zoom out. And you can see now that we have zoomed out the camera. And if I go back to frame 1, just press stop and go back to frame 1, now we have some camera movement. Hey everybody, welcome to our Getting Started tutorial with CrazyTalk Animator 2. Oh. Alright, so that's about it for this tutorial. We will have other tutorials that go more into depth on all the individual tools and features, so don't worry about that. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at developer@reallusion.com. And hopefully you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching.